Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Music Den. I am, of course, your host, Armando Venditti. Hoping you guys are having a good night. It's a late night here. It's 11 o'clock Mountain Standard Time in Edmonton, Alberta. And this is my final video possibly for this evening. I believe this is my fifth video of the day. So it's been a long day today, guys, a really long day. But I got this idea to do this video, so I wanted to get it done and get it out to you as quick as I can. I'm going to be doing in this episode my top 3 Rush instrumentals. Now, for those of you who don't know, and there are a few of you who don't know, Rush were a progressive rock band from Toronto, Ontario, formed in 1968 as a trio. I do believe there were a 4-piece briefly at one point, but the original trio in the band consisted of John Rutsey on drums, Geddy Lee on bass and vocals, and Alex Lifeson on guitars. And by the way, if you hear somebody coughing in the background, that's just Bob. Okay, now on with the show. Rush released their debut album in 1974 on Moon Records. They're self-titled, and it quickly garnered attention from Mercury Records in the US. Just before they did sign with Mercury, they had to part ways with John Rutsey due to 2 reasons. One, the band members were starting to develop different musical tastes. Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson wanted to go off into a more progressive rock area. Geddy Lee's one of Geddy Lee's heroes was Chris Squire from Yes, and also Bill Bruford from Yes. John Rutsey, however, wanted to go into stay in a more of a straightforward rock direction. And also the other reason why they parted ways was John Rutsey developed diabetes, and for health reasons, he could not travel with the band on a touring schedule. So they quickly hooked up with Neil Peart, signed a deal with Mercury, and the rest is history. Now, Rush has released albums through the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, and the 2010s. They had to disband they chose to disband, in 2018 when Neil Peart passed away from brain cancer. Rest in peace, Neil Peart. The purpose of this episode, as I said at the top, was to discuss 3 of my favorite Rush instrumentals. And these are really in no order. There's no like 1, 2, 3, that I'm going to be doing. No ranking, but these are the instrumentals that I picked. Now, Rush has done instrumental sections throughout their albums, long instrumental pieces, as part of suites, etc., i.e. 2112, the overture opening. Also, standalone pieces. I'm going to be talking about 3 standalone instrumentals. First one is from their 1993 release, Counterparts. Counterparts was released in November of 1993, produced by Peter Collins and the band. What I liked about this album when it came out was it veered away from the keyboard sound that they had adopted in the mid to late 80s. And it went back to more of a guitar, bass, and drums sound. And to be honest with you, that is what Alex Lifeson wanted to do. He was getting a little bit tired of having to rely on keyboards on stage and in the studio. So he basically said, look, if we're going to go on, we have to sort of rethink this a little and retool what we're doing. And Geddy Lee and Neil Peart agreed wholeheartedly. Not that they didn't use keyboards on this album. It's just that this album, containing the 2 hits, Stick It Out and Nobody's Hero. Stick It Out had a more of a, I don't want to say grunge feel, but it was more of a heavier rock sound. A lot of bottom end, a lot of heavy bass, a lot of heavy rhythm guitar and very little keyboards. And Nobody's Hero, I should say too, had more of an acoustic flavor with acoustic guitars on the intro, etc. The track Leave That Thing Alone on the album, the only way I can describe it, it's a pretty straightforward track in terms of the drumming. Very solid drumming, very neat, steady rhythm all the way through the track. The guitars are very haunting, like very haunting. It has a very and almost like an eerie kind of a feel with the main melody of the guitars. The keyboards are still there. They're still there, but they sort of underpin everything. They're not prominent. They're sort of like little flourishes on the sides. Picture it like as a picture frame, and the keyboards are sort of like little flourishes around the frame of the track, to keep it together, right? And Geddy Lee does some bass flourishes. It almost sounds like in some sections he's thumping the bass, slapping the bass, I should say. Sorry, not thumping, slapping the bass. And there are certain tempo changes, tempo and time signature changes on the drums. And they do add a little bit of some sound effects here and there. But the overall frame of work of the melody of the guitar is what keeps this track moving. And also, what I like about Alex Lifeson's playing is that he also does, I guess you could call it a counterpoint statement, whereas you have the guitar playing the main melody, and then he'll come in with another section as a counter statement to what's going on in the main melody. And it works beautifully. This song, again, it's very haunting. It has a very sort of relaxed feel on the melody. And not that it's not heavy, but it's, again, it is a very haunting track. So that's my first pick. My second pick is from Moving Pictures. YYZ, which was released, sorry, and stuff, something in my throat, which was released in 1991. It is late, guys, I'm sorry. 1981, produced by Terry Brown. The letters YYZ stand for the Pearson International Airport in Toronto. And they got the idea for this song coming in on a flight to Toronto. And I believe it was Neil Peart that heard the signal, the tapping that starts at the beginning of the code that starts at the beginning of the track. I believe he heard that coming through the speakers on the plane. So this track is really kick-ass. I mean, it starts off with the tapping with the code, and then the drums start, and they're very sort of almost like a half beat when like coming in, and the keyboards come in and they support, like they like the bass for the track for the intro, and then then they stop, and then they do like a kind of like a revving up of the drums, and then they kick into the track, like they go like full throttle, full force, and it's very guitar heavy, guitar laden track. Fantastic rhythm, fantastic melody on both the bass and lead guitar. The drums hold everything together. They underpin everything on this track, and it is amazing. The guitar solo is just phenomenal. When you see them do it live, I saw Rush in 1997 at the Mosa Amphitheater in Toronto, and they were amazing. And when they did this track, the place went nuts. People went crazy. Actually, it was not 1997. I saw them. It was 2005. Forgive me. Okay, it has been a long day. And again, what Alex Lifeson does, and you see Bob there in the background. What Alex Lifeson does is he's waving. Is he does again with the guitar melody? He does a statement, counter statement with the guitars. Very sort of call and response, and they use the right and left channel on the speakers perfectly for this. And at one point, he does a real funky guitar break on the track, and this continues until you get to a certain point, and then it goes into like a lull situation, like a very quiet period where like the keyboards take over, and it's almost like you're running a race, and you get to a point where you get really tired and you stop and you need to rest for a bit, and then the keyboards take over, and beautiful passages from Geddy Lee. I mean, he is a master keyboard player. And then it's almost like they get revved up again. It's almost like a runner regaining his energy and then taking off again on the run. And the same melody repeats again for about 2 more times. And then it just comes to a stop. It's 4 minutes and change of just fantastic melodic rock. And this track has always been a concert favorite. I've always loved it, even when I was a kid. And Tom Sawyer being the big hit from this album, and Red Barchetta and The Camera Eye, etc. I've always remembered this track from this album. It's just amazing. My last pick is from 1978, from Hemispheres. The track is La Villa Strangiato. Okay. Now, Hemispheres came out again, 1978, produced by Terry Brown again. Terry Brown produced a majority of all of the 70s albums and into the 80s up until 82, I believe, Signals. But he was responsible for this masterpiece. La Villa Strangiato, first of all, Hemispheres had 4 tracks. So you had the sidelong epic, Cygnus 2, Book 2, sorry. And the single from this album was The Trees, which was an okay track. It's an environmental track, talking about how, the trees are saying that, we're sucking the air out of the atmosphere and the trees are dying, right? The track La Villa Strangiato is a masterpiece. Clocks in at over 9 minutes long. And there is a video of this track done live. Okay. On the studio version, obviously Alex Lifeson switches between acoustic and electric guitars. On the live stage version that they do on the video, it's all done by electric guitars, and it's all done masterfully. I swear to God, it is fantastic. You need to check this out. The start of the track starts off with very soft keyboards. They come in, very, very soft, very sort of calm, and almost like the start of a day. Like when you wake up, you see the sun coming up through the window, and you start your day, and then you hear the drums start to come in, like on the hi-hat. You hear Neil Peart come in on the hi-hat, and then the song kicks in full throttle. What I like about this track is it has different sections. It goes through different moods and different tempo changes. Very fast-paced, very energetic. They tried to do this track all in one go, and listening to it, the complexity, and the soloing the time signature changes, the tempo changes. I don't know how the hell they would have been able to do that. So they couldn't do it. So they had to record it in sections. And it goes through different moods. I mean, you get, the intro is, I call it the start of the day. And then you go through your day, and then you get caught up in the fast-paced events of your day through work, whatever. And then it goes through different tempo changes with the drums, using a lot of the floor toms for the keeping the rhythm going. And the guitar comes in just brilliantly. And there's a section where you just hear the drums, and it's very quiet. And then Alex Lifeson comes in with his guitar, and it's very sort of subtle. It's very eerie, but then he slowly vamps it up and keeps it going, and goes back into a guitar solo. And I mean, Geddy Lee's also there with, the bass. It's unmistakably a Rickenbacker bass. And it's got to be said again, he was a big fan of Chris Squire from Yes, who pretty much always used a Rickenbacker bass. And the Rickenbacker bass, as I said in other videos, I said this on the FM video, it has a very distinct sound. Very distinct sound. And it's used quite beautifully. So again, this song goes through many moods, many tempo changes, time signature changes. It is brilliant. The only way I can really give you the full experience of it is if you go listen to it. And if you're a Rush fan, you know what I'm talking about. You've heard it before. So, and again, it's an opus. Like, it's like 9 minutes, something like 9 minutes and 30 seconds, if not more. But I know it's over 9 minutes. So please check that out, along with the other 2 tracks, YYZ and Leave That Thing Alone. Please go check those tracks out. And again, down there in the comments, let me know what you think. And, do you like Rush? Do you not like Rush? What do you think of Geddy Lee? What do you think of them possibly getting back together? He and Alex Lifeson doing some music together. Let me know what you think. And again, put the comments down below. Click like and subscribe. And hit the notification bell to keep yourselves on top of any new content that I've got coming up. I will be posting this in this coming week. So hopefully you guys are having a good night. Take care of yourselves and one another. And I will see you very soon. Bye for now.